everyone. This is obviously very new to the business as far as attachments are concerned. You're all fairly familiar with the standard J2.5 ISA electric counterbalance. It's fairly straightforward. So you've got those ones with the twin pallet handle. Very similar, but this is now we've got an additional attachments, if you like. The first one's with the white goods clamp, and the other one's got the slip sheet, but it really doesn't. If you guys are the buggies below, you probably won't use that. You probably use this more often. Then today is what we're going to do is cover off how we exchange it from this type of attachment to that type of attachment, if need to. Depends on the application. But come closer, I'll just show you a few things, just some basic familiarisation. So you've got 3 rating plates here, 1, 2 and 3. And you'll notice here, this particular rating plate here, it says plus KAUP, which is the brand, clamp. KAUP clamp is that one, and it tells you what capacity that you can handle using this attachment. According to this, it says 1,300 kilos is your maximum that I can pick up at any given time. Hopefully we don't going to have any heavier than that in barbecues below. So be mindful what you're picking up, what its limitation is. The lift height of this is 4.8, so you don't think you're going to go that high, but it's 1.3 tonne is really where you need to have your thinking hat together and making sure that you're not overloading. Okay? All your functions on the J2.5 extended is exactly the same as what you got. There's really no much difference. So you've got your accelerator, your brake, all your hydraulic controls here. All your controls are identical. Okay. What Jamie's going to do is going to show you how to use this attachment now with the different type of pressure settings and how you then blend it with your hydraulic controls. Okay. Furthermore, battery charging, it's fairly straightforward. It's exactly the same as what you guys have been doing. Nothing different. Okay. So again, the rule of thumb, just a massive reminder, is that you drain it down to about 20%. So use the whole full as much as you can out of the battery before you start charging it up. Okay. So the battery on these are 80 volts. They typically take about 6 to 7 hours of continuous use before you have to charge it again. But keep an eye on your fuel gauge or your battery discharging current. So when it gets down to that second last bar, switch it off, charge it. You know what to do, but just a reminder. Okay. Obviously, these batteries need to be watered regularly, so I know that you guys are familiar with that. But same applies to everything else. So, any questions on battery charging? No. Any questions of the machine so far? Not yet. Good. All right, we're going to.
I'm from KAUP. Our company specialises just on the attachments on the machine, and what we've got through here, organised through with Jude and Sam, is to provide some flexibility in being able to change the attachment for different applications that we've got. So effectively, what you're getting with this one machine is a combination of the 3 that's used on every attachment that goes on the front of the machine. Start off with the attachment that you have that will always be there and available on the machine for you, is the side shift carriage. Now that's built into the truck by Heister, and that's what we call an integral side shift. And added to that attachment at the moment on the machine, as you see now, we've got an appliance or carton clamp. So we've set this particular unit up for you with the typical arms, and what you'll notice that these paddles on the front articulate, so that when you pick up loads that have uneven surfaces, you know, the carton's not quite square and stacked, your arms will articulate and give you the best gripping capability. You will notice with the arms as well, the inside arms are covered with like a rubberized material, and you can see it's got a special pattern through it. And there's a high grip product. The whole idea is what we want to do is to, when you clamp here to pick it up and carry it, we want enough pressure to carry it, but not too much where we start damaging the product. So to assist you in doing that, we've also got this pressure relief valve sitting on the top of the machine, of the cow. It does have 3 positions, but at the moment we've got it pretty well set for a low pressure and a high pressure. It is something that we can adjust and play with the pressures for you, so that we can, if you wanted to have higher pressure for a particular load type, we can set that up to suit. Or we need something that's probably a little bit lighter, we can adjust that. So all you've got to do is to move that lever to one of 3 positions to alter the pressure setting. Now, what you will notice, and what I was fiddling with when I was on the machine just a minute ago, right in the middle of the attachment, on the clamp, there's a pressure gauge. Now we've got it on the clamp attachment because we're going to take that off and put a different attachment on. The pressure's not important to you. It's only important with this particular attachment itself. So what you are able to do is do a physical check if you really wanted to, just see where the pressure is. But invariably, that middle position is the low pressure, and if you move it to the second position there, it takes it to a higher pressure. My recommendation is that we leave it in the low pressure to start off with, and just see how you go with the loads. If you get something, you go to pick it up, and there's slippage, move it across, and it will enable you to increase the pressure. You do tend to find a lot of operators get used to using these units, and they get the feel as to, the pressure builds up as we keep the hydraulic circuit operating. And all we're doing with that is that once you've got to maximum pressure that we've set it for, anything else will blow through back to tank. What you will tend to find is that you can apply less pressure than what that's designed to put in, just by being fine on the lever. This is more for the basis that you just don't go overboard and start destroying loads. So if you end up finding you've got a particular load that's very fragile, we can set this down to a really low pressure so that you always use that position for that sort of load. And we're only going to know that as you start handling the various loads that you've got. Every application is somewhat different. Any questions on the carton? On this pallet, there are 2 attachments. The unit with the red tines on is your fork position. So when the carton clamp isn't on the machine and the push-pull's not on the machine, you've got a conventional fork position. So you do your normal pallet handling and normal fork positioning work. Now, side shift is achieved from the integral part that's remaining on the forklift. Now, the carton clamp and this fork positioner is designed to mount onto the carriage of that forklift where the forks normally go. So what you've got here, you've got 2 hooks at the top of the attachment, and there's this central locating device. That's a notch, and that notch goes into the middle cutaway inside the carriage. Down at the bottom, these are our lower hooks that actually hold the attachment on the forklift truck. So the weight is carried by these top hooks. These bottom hooks stop the unit from falling off. I'll just grab these bottom hooks. Simply, once we come in with the carriage and we align that central notch into here and we pick the attachment up, the bottom carriage bar will be leaning against the bottom here and the top carriage bar will be sitting here. What we will do is just lift this unit off the ground, off the pallet. We raise those pins, those hooks, and these pins just slide through, and you put a pin on the other side, and that locks the attachment on board. So, happy with that? Okay, guys. Just come up a little bit higher. Okay.
I think.
So these are the locking pins that will hold that unit in place. So basically, if I just take that clip out, pull that out, and that's dropped down. What I would tend to do is to put the pin into the machine dash. So if you would like to hold that one, and I'll just go around. Okay, so what we want to do now, we would like to lower the attachment down so that the attachment is just sitting on the edge of that pallet. But as you come down, don't over lower, just get it down to get the weight coming off. That's good, that's good. Okay. Hold it there for a second. So basically what we've got, we now have the attachment sitting on the pallet. I still have the hydraulics connected up, and we've got the pins out from the bottom. Just for safety concerns, I would suggest we now turn the machine off.
I was going to ask you that.
Like while the hydraulics will work with pressure,
Yeah.
it'll always best to turn it off, just so that we're clear. So basically, to disconnect these couplers, so no oil, absolutely no oil. Two clean fits. So just basically get those and just move those through into the side. So you've now got two clear areas, and as you can see, there's just no squirting or oil coming out. Yes, you've got to screw it, so I suggest to get hold of some gloves. On the fittings themselves, there is actually the ability to put a spanner on it if you really wanted to, but hand pressure should be all you need to do. When you screw these down, the idea is we'd like to make sure we come down and make contact with that yellow O-ring. If you screw it down, just make sure it's at least touching the O-ring. Nice to see it disappear, but it works at that basis. All right, so if we switch it all back on, fingers crossed, a little bit of forward tilt. Okay, and just bring the machine back a little bit. There you go.
Well done. Well done.
Right. This is a little bit tougher for where you're sitting because there's a notch right in the middle of that carriage.
Is it better to offset?
Yeah, if you side shift it so you can see that might help. So if you can see that notch, okay, what you want to do is align that notch with that peg there.
Here we go, you see the skill. So that notch in the middle, line it in the middle of that little hook.
Forward tilt. Always remember picking up the forward tilt. Okay, side shift across. Side shift across. Okay, drive in a little bit more. Drive in, that's it, now lift. Tilt back. That's in. Now if you lift it up, just
Come around here, Jamie.
Oh, yeah.
Ideally, you want everything turned off at this point.
yeah, normally what you do is lift the machine, just get them on. So they're now locked in position. So just bring it down. Okay, so what we've got at the moment, we've got a push-pull attachment sitting on top of the positioner. These are the hoses that we use for the push-pull. And as you can see, if I go to connect, they can only go in one way. So I'd always start with the one that's furthest in. Okay, so operate the additional lever, the fourth lever. Your push pull's working. So,
Sorry, John, can you just let Victor out?
so that's the park position of the push-pull attachment before we pick anything up. But now the operation of the push-pull, once it's on, it just requires one hydraulic lever to cycle it. What you will notice as it operates, when this pantograph first starts to move out, before it starts to move, you'll notice this bar here, it's a jaw, will open. And it opens, and then this bar will come out to the end of the platen. And when we're handling goods on slip sheets, the idea is you put the slip sheet into the gap that's underneath that bar. Once it's in place, as soon as you go to take that pusher bar backwards, first thing that happens, those jaws will close and it grabs the slip sheet and it will pull the slip sheet. Now, what we recommend that you do is as you're pulling the load in, that you also drive a little bit underneath the unit. We don't want to use all the effort in pulling the full weight of the slip sheet, otherwise you might tear the slip sheet. Slip sheets aren't all the same quality. If you get a bad one and you tear it, you're not going to be able to handle it. So use the machine's driving also to assist coming in at the same time that you're using the push-pull. See a lot of guys who get very proficient at this, when they operate, it's almost like the load staying still and the unit's going underneath. And likewise, when they deposit the load onto a pallet, they drive backwards at the same time as pushing, so that you're just taking the effort off the load. So you want to push that out, watch that bottom jaw, so your jaw's open. Just hold it at that point there. Now that's ready to engage your sheet. So the idea is, if you've got a slip sheet sticking out on the pallet, normally you'd probably come in just slightly above the slip sheet and then just drop the unit down. You'll hear the slip sheet flick and it will gently go into that area. Now, as soon as you go to come back, the oil will go to these cylinders to close those jaws. So if you want to activate that, what I'll do now, we'll take the push-pull off, so we end up now just with the fork positioner on the unit. So
Yep.
we're good. Now, when we take the push-pull off the truck, don't leave it in this position. It'll be too heavy down the back end, and it's got the capability to fall over backwards. What I recommend that you do, and also to help us relieve pressure in the system, is if you cycle it, move it all the way up to the end, you bring it back, say, a third of the way. Go to there, bring it back, stop it anywhere there. That's the way I would leave it stored.
More balanced.
Yeah, because it's going to resist wanting to fall over backwards. All right, so to take this attachment off, just want to raise this one up in the air, please. Lovely, thank you. So as you can see, this attachment is sitting on a set of standard fork tines. So all we've got here are a set of pins that are locked in behind the heels of the forks. So it's basically the same principle, except we're going to be taking these pins out, and we can leave the push-pull sitting on a pallet of spaces. So if you want to, so effectively all we're doing, that in, straight out. That one out. If you want to slow it down to the pallet. In fact, bring it back a little bit, because the push-pull is actually this part. So you're a little bit forward. So come back, probably about there. But remember, this part's staying on the forklift and that part's coming off. Got the switcher off.
Formula One pitch thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Formula One.
Except all five of us who work in the pit.
See again, no oil.
Yeah.
So these hoses are going to stay with the push pull. So we're just mounting around there like that. These hoses will operate our port positioner. Okay, she'll sort of drive back straight out of the machine. So once he's got that out, I'd leave these pins in there. Positioning. And that's the way I'd imagine you'd have the machine most